Okay, woo! William and I are driving a very special car today, a very expensive car no less, 993 generation 911 Turbo S in Valencia purple. There's only 3 of these cars in the country, it's a very rare car. The Turbo S in itself in the 993 generation is a very rare car, and these are worth a great deal of money, between $500,000 to $1 million these days. I'm very fortunate my friend Brett Sloan from Sloan Motors is letting me drive this. We'll talk to him more about the car when we stop later on, but I just wanted to give you my driving impressions. Well, I first drove a Turbo 993 back in the late 90s. It was my boss's car, and I was struck at that time with the extraordinary amount of torque that they deliver, and that's still true today. This is a very torquey beast in comparison to my regular 993. I'll drop it down a gear or 2 here, down to 3rd. And then I put my foot down, 1, 2, 3, and it launches away. I mean, these days they produce about the same power as a regular Carrera, maybe a Carrera S, 4 to 450 horsepower, but they deliver it quite differently, and it's quite different to drive, as you'd expect, than my 993 911. First of all, the clutch is very, very light. Like feather light, just a completely different clutch on these cars. Sounds a lot different, obviously, and of course being a turbo delivers power completely differently. And I remember back in the 90s when I drove my first Turbo 911 thinking how dated the interior looked, but of course these days this interior looks superior to the more modern interiors, say the 996, but otherwise it's classic 993. You know, everything's very upright, the pedals go down on the floor like this. I really love driving 993s. As you can probably tell from the microphone, there's not a lot of drama in here. It's really quite a subtle sounding engine. You get it, but yeah, certainly the turbos muffle the sound of the engine, I think. Obviously the Turbo and the Turbo S are all-wheel drive as well, although I don't really notice much difference in the steering. In the modern 911s, I always notice a difference with the all-wheel drive models, how they steer different. But yeah, this 993, very similar to my car in the steering.
The other thing I noticed, which may also be related to the all-wheel drive system, in comparison to my base cab 993, the Turbo S sits a lot higher on its suspension, like 2 or 3 inches, maybe even 4 inches, which does make it feel like it's floating a lot more. And when comparing specs to a modern 911, say a Carrera S, it's interesting to note that the specs are almost identical across the board. Mind you, the modern 911 would definitely be faster, but it is fun to consider that a 27-year-old analog time capsule like this could give a modern 911 a run for its money. Okay, I'm here with my friend Brent from Sloan Motors and Edward Norton lookalike apparently. And we're going to have a look at this fine machine I just drove. This is a very rare bird, isn't it, Brent?
Yes, it is. They made 345, well, let's back up. It's a 1997 993 Turbo S. So they made 345 for the world, but about 182 came over to this country. Only 3 were built in Viola Metallic, which is the same color. I don't know if you remember, they made a 964 wide body for Europe only in this color for, I believe it was a Jubilee edition. We never got it here. But 3 US buyers picked this color. One of them is in a private collection and will never be sold. It's one of a very big Porsche collection. And then there's 2 other ones. So you have 2 chances to buy this color. That's it.
Amazing.
And this one has about 11,000 miles on it. No modifications, it's a stellar car.
It really is, isn't it? 11,000 miles, that's it. Nothing.
Yep, and then the interior is Rubicon gray.
Yeah.
Which has got kind of like a purplish hue to it.
Yeah, it's a nice contrast, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And just driving it, I noticed this car has so many options. I mean, leather covered
Everything is leather.
Everything is leather.
Even the window switches and
really?
up here on the mirror toggle switch, leather.
Wow.
Everything, even the little gas cap flap, which you can't even, the
Is
little
that
release,
leather as well?
That's leather.
You're kidding. That is something
Yep.
else. They went overboard.
It's special, it's definitely, it was the fastest air-cooled car we got for the United States as well. So it was kind of like the last hurrah. So they went all out. And this is all standard.
Yeah.
You could get it with sport seats and some other, deviated stitching and whatnot, but for the most part, this is how they came, with the carbon fiber, you could get a carbon fiber steering wheel as well, but this one doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But with the carbon fiber dash, all that stuff was included in the Turbo S package.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Turbo S package, being as rare as it is.
Correct. It's so you get right away. You see these hand-formed scoops on both sides.
Right.
You get an additional oil cooler as well.
Right.
Also, you get this iridescent quality on the wheels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of finish to it. Very hard to replicate. Yes, yellow calipers.
Yep.
Which are not ceramics. A lot of people think it's ceramic brakes. It's not. It was just part of the package.
Yeah, modern ceramics
Correct.
are yellow, aren't
Yep.
they?
Also, you get Aero Kit 2, which is this wing front, and so you get the Aero Kit wing in the back, and then the front lip, which we'll see in a second. Dual exhaust pipes,
Right.
or quad exhaust pipes.
Yep.
Horsepower is bumped up a little bit. Standard was 400 horsepower for a US turbo. The Turbo S was bumped up to a 424.
Right.
So a little more horsepower. And then, like I said before, the front cap is different. That's an Aero Kit 2 front.
I see.
Yeah, so just the lip. This actually goes on to the standard turbo lip. And then you also get these air intake for the brake ducts.
Right.
And then with these little fog lamps here.
Wow.
So that's the exterior package.
Wow.
But yeah, just
So a lot of these options, you said, are standard on the Turbo S.
Yes.
Right.
What's not standard about this car is the color. So that was a special ordered color, like I said, viola metallic. The interior as well with the Rubicon gray, that was also a non-standard color.
Right.
But yeah, they all came heavy options. Just a gorgeous car.
Isn't it a gorgeous car?
And it was originally ordered out of Brumos down in Florida. The guy bought it for an anniversary gift from some milestone birthday gift.
Right.
And and then kept it for many years. It's been it was sold to a private collector a couple years ago, maybe about 5-6 years ago, and it's been out of the public since. And I'm thrilled to kind of bring it back to life because it's kind of been, hidden away for quite some time.
So how often do you see a Turbo S?
I've been very fortunate to have many of them over the years.
Really? Yeah.
But I always try to have at least one in stock. But my father started collecting the Turbo S's back when they're new. And I would say out of the, like I said, under 200 cars that came over to the United States, so like around 182 that came over here, I bet over the years we've had at least 20, 25 of them, if not more.
Wow.
Yeah, some of them had a chance to get back more than once. And most of them you see in silver with a black interior or black on black.
Right.
Colors are super rare on these cars. And this is the only time I've had, obviously since there's only 3 of them, the Viola Metallic, but I've never had anything in this type of paint to sample, special ordered color program since I've had them. So it's just a striking car.
It's amazing. Can we have a look at the option codes?
Yeah. And it's long.
Is it?
Yeah. Got a bunch of options there. Yeah. Also, they came with this carbon fiber strut bar.
Oh, okay, yep.
That's also factory.
That's cool.
And then also, the Turbo S badging.
Yeah. Yeah, what a special mobile.
Yeah. But again, everything wrapped in leather, even the vents.
Everything. So these are all leather as well.
Even the cigarette.
The cigarette lighter is. Oh, wow.
Yep.
That is something else, isn't it? That is so cool.
And of course, you could get the carbon fiber package in other models, but it would say either exclusive over here or no writing whatsoever. Right. But the Turbo S, obviously, get the Turbo S on the airbag. Leather headliner. This is all wrapped in leather.
Oh, it is leather headliner.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes. And then these are wrapped in leather.
Yep. Even the mirror.
No, the mirror's not. No, the mirror's not.
Oh, it doesn't either.
Nope.
No.
But that does have. That's
how could they miss that?
I know, right?
Yeah. The white dash.
White dash. That was an option too. The graphite face gauges. That was an option on the car, on this particular car. But yes, carbon fiber shifter and e-brake. That was standard to the car as well. Yeah. And like I said earlier, you could get a carbon fiber steering wheel, so half of the steering wheel would be wrapped in carbon fiber.
Yeah, I don't know that. I like the full leather myself.
Yep. And then of course the windshield wiper stalks behind those are wrapped in leather. Oh yeah. And then the little clock. Just the little stuff like that.
Oh, this is this here? You're kidding.
You gotta get something for your money.
Wow.
You gotta get something for your money.
Wow. And these are north of $500,000
oh,
these days.
All day long. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, they're definitely highly coveted, especially huge collections. If you have a huge Porsche collection or a starting one, this is the car to have, and it's definitely the pinnacle of the air-cooled cars, especially here in the U.S. since this was, again, the top of the line, the fastest air-cooled car we had in the United States. Again, we didn't get the GT2s or the 993 RSs. That's all forbidden fruit for here for the U.S. So this was the best thing you can get,
And any problems that you know of that are common with them?
Common is turbos, mainly just from sitting.
Because it's slightly bigger turbo on the S, isn't there?
Yeah, a hair bigger, but it's the same thing with non-S turbos. It's just because it's the lowest hanging fruit in the car. Gravity just pulls all the oil through it. So it's very common for turbos to kind of leak. There are some upgrades that they've been doing, like with GT2 lines. There's a check valve that a couple companies offer, which stop that oil from seeping past the turbos and leaking. Turbos are expensive to replace in this car. It's not it's not cheap to do so, but that's very common. It's an all-wheel drive car, so steering racks can leak over time. And other than that, I mean, your typical air-cooled stuff, your chain, chain cover gaskets and stuff like that. That's your typical valve cover stuff. Yeah. But other than that, there's nothing really particular to the Turbo S or the Turbo that are, besides obviously the turbos, that are issues. And that's part of the reason why the price tag, the entry is pretty high, but once you get the car, maintenance-wise, it's really not that difficult or expensive to maintain them as long as you have as long as you own the car. It's pretty.
Yeah. And without question, an appreciating asset. Right?
100%, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, I've definitely. I remember driving these cars around when they were only about 110, 120,000 back, I don't know, 20 years ago at this point. But yeah, now I'm a bit nervous to, I was a little nervous watching you drive the car because it's definitely appreciated so much. And there's no stopping these cars. They're hand built. They're so special. Each one of them is special. And there's just not enough to supply the demand. There's no more of them coming, right? Nope, that's it. So they're just fantastic cars.
Yeah. What an interesting trip. Yeah. Thank you very much for letting us take a look and take a drive of this car.
You're welcome.